Welcome to the November 24th, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness, our in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I am your host, Lotus Prince, whoa, and this is...
Fakafon, not Vice.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was telling Fakafon about this on Discord earlier, but Vice and I came to a disagreement, and we had a sword duel on top of a building, and he fell off like every single villain in every single movie from the 80s and 90s. So, Vice is gone forever until next week. So,
He had a good CGI effect, I hope, right? Not like in Ninja Turtles where he just bleeps out of existence.
Oh yeah, where they like shrink him so it
Just
looks like he falls far. Like if you're smaller, you're farther away. So we'll shrink you and enclose your circle. That was bizarre. It's like once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, it's so strange, and there's no splash or anything, so it just looks like he's getting absorbed by the
shook.
ocean.
Yeah, he got sucked in by the black hole of the ocean. Like normally they don't show the character landing. It's like we know what happened.
Yeah.
But here they instead of cutting away, let's just do that. I think back when the Video Game Nerd did a video on that, he said like, couldn't you have just cut away a second ago to the turtles going ooh, and like he just did it, and yeah, it looked fine.
Oh, dude, I
when he goes to
remember
the stupid
that.
effect.
And he looked good.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good because you literally couldn't see it. It's like we know he hit the ground, just like in every other movie that does this.
Yeah.
But in any case, we certainly have a bunch of interesting things to talk about. The first one makes me rage, and probably every YouTuber, because it concerns a new update to, it's not exactly terms of service, but the manner in which the site operates. There's like imposing of ads. If you are not part of whatever the program is on YouTube where you get paid, then they're just gonna like apparently put ads on your video and you don't even make money off of them. So they're like imposing on your video and you didn't ask for this or want it, and somebody's making money on it and it's not you, which is some bullshit. And
Woo!
I don't know if this is a tangential effect of this, but I've been getting a lot of ads on my own videos lately, like my Dino Crisis 2 Let's Play. I had multiple people point out in part 2, like there's a weird amount of ads, and I went to check it out, and there was like 1,000 ads on that video, and I'm like, holy shit. So I got rid of all but like 2, and I was like, that's taken care of. That was a weird error. But then people pointed out it was on part 1 as well, and I'm like, oh. And so then I went through all the episodes. One of them had like no ads, another had a few, and the rest had like something stupid like 8, where my videos are like 35-40 minutes long, so it's like an ad every 3 minutes. That shit is unwatchable. Like,
wow.
I don't know what the programmers were thinking with this one, so now I gotta manually manage that shit so as not to like infuriate anyone who feels like clicking on my stuff, and I'm sure other people have a similar problem.
You know the programmers were like, okay, boss, whatever, you're gonna regret this decision.
I know, right? Like, it's not one of those things, like, there's no way they could have genuinely thought, well, more ads means more income. Yeah, if people fucking tolerate them, which they won't, like, at the very least, click to the end of the video, load up whatever crap comes your way, and then click back to the beginning of the video. Like, it's very easy to get around. So, I mean, this is easy to manage from an uploader's perspective, but it's irritating. And then there are people who mentioned, like Jim Sterling in particular, he makes a point of not putting ads on his videos, but fuck him, I guess, it's happening. I mean, because he's part of the program, though, he might be able to remove them, but that's still very annoying. Like,
Yeah.
some people make a point of not doing ads because, like, whatever reason, like, oh, I make more than enough money on my Patreon, or I just don't like ads, or whatever it is. Like, that's, I don't, like, it's... Once again, YouTube makes a decision that pisses off everyone, but YouTube gets away with it because you can't just like abandon YouTube as a platform. It's too big. It's like, you know, when Amazon pisses people off, what are you going to do? Not use Amazon ever?
Yeah.
Like, a person can do that, but like society is like too reliant on it to like just drop it like it's nothing. So it's very irritating.
I'm trying to figure out, like, what brought this on. Like, what did they wake up someday and they're like, ah, shit, we're running out of money. Quick, more ads. Like, what happened?
That's kind of the thing. Like, if I had to guess, I would say the same thing that motivates any super rich person or entity, which is the opportunity to get more money.
Ugh.
But I already have more than enough to know what to do with. You fuck you. You could get more though. Like, okay. I mean, like that's not the answer necessarily, but I bet you that it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of an actual good answer.
Because I'm really struggling to imagine that YouTube is like knee deep in debt and they're like, fuck, we need to make money
Yeah,
and
if
we'll
there's
have to
one company
close.
that's in dire straits, it's Google. They're
Yeah.
hanging by a thread. Yeah. Watch out. You better throw in some ads to make ends meet. Google, the most ubiquitous company or one of the
In
most
the
in the
world.
world. All right, fine. But on a bit of a more positive note, this is a weird thing to bring up, but Vice had mentioned in a previous iteration of Reactive Consciousness that almost everything on PS4 is going to be playable on PS5, like PS5 backwards compatibility, and there was like a handful of games that didn't, and most of them you haven't heard of or don't care quite enough about. But in a really baffling revelation, one of
Sorry.
those games was Shadow Complex, which, why is that not PS5 compatible? Like, it was a 360 game. It was on Steam. Like, it's been ported a bunch of times, but PS5 is where you draw the line. Like, it's a Metroidvania. Like, those things can play on anything. But recently, Shadow Complex's Twitter account tweeted out that they did some work on it, and now it will work on the PS5, which is pretty
Good.
cool. So, like, I don't know why that thing was ever in danger of not working on it, but that problem has now been solved, apparently, which is pretty cool. I actually have a physical version from Limited Run, so it's nice that I can move that onward. I don't need to
Yeah.
hold on to the PS4 for one fucking game. Technically two if you count PT, but I'll address that in Corrective Consciousness.
Yeah.
Next up, this is a game that's been out forever, but I'm not very familiar with it, but 13, as in XIII. Did you ever play that, Fakafon?
I don't think so.
Yeah, like, I don't know much about it. It's an FPS. The only thing I really knew about it was that it had a sort of comic book aesthetic. I remember that from the back of the box back on the PS2 and maybe even the GameCube. I know it was on PS2 at the very least. But that game's been on Steam and GOG forever now. Like, it's just one of the games that made it there. But very recently, a remake came out for it. And people who liked 13 back in the day were like, oh, cool, like, let's take a look. And apparently that it's very poorly made, and it also removed the comic book aesthetic, so, like, the thing that got your attention is no
It's
longer there.
gone.
But apparently that remake is so poor that it actually sold worse than the original game, which is
That
like,
is amazing.
that doesn't happen. Like, that's pretty poor. Like, the only real positive spin to this is that it drew attention to the original. Maybe the original is still good. It's been around for 15, 20 years. Maybe that fucking works because it had to, because it was released before patching existed. So you can take a look at that, I guess. I mean, does your GOG or Steam version work? I don't know. It wasn't designed for Windows 10, but I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume the console version works on consoles. Like, starting from the PS3 and 360 era, that was not necessarily the case because patching exists now. But PS2, GameCube, Xbox, and prior, you better release a proper working game.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I can't really talk too much more about 13 because I haven't played either version of it, but man, oh man. However, we go to something that I find very interesting. Mario 3D All-Stars. You know those old Mario games released on the Switch, the
Yeah, the
compilation.
package.
Yeah, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy.
Just the first one, though.
Yeah, just the first one. Very, very nice. That was updated to include some requested features. So the two that I'm mostly aware of are for Mario Sunshine, and these were really, really requested. One of them was the option for inverted controls. Personally, I don't care about that, but a lot of people play with reverse y-axis.
Yeah, I can see that.
And, like, why would any game with first-person options, or even aiming options like Mario Sunshine, that's over the shoulder, why would any game not give you that option anymore? Like, I don't remember if the GameCube version did or didn't. It's been a very long time. But even if it didn't, like, how does any game not give you that option in this day and age? Like, that seems like a glaring oversight. And the other option, which I personally find more interesting, is it got the GameCube controller support. Now, why does that matter? Because I just gotta play a GameCube game with my GameCube controller, like Smash? No, actually, a very important feature of the original Mario Sunshine was that it had...
The pressure?
Yes. Pressure sensitive. Maybe it was R button,
Yeah,
whatever
it
you
was
used
the
to
R and L
fire.
button. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you press the button harder, your spray from the flood is more powerful, and then the Switch version didn't support that, and I think even the Pro controller didn't, which is mind blowing to me. So they tried to compensate for it by having two different buttons, one for the weakest setting and one for the strongest. But like, if you're very familiar with the old game and you're like, oh, now I can play it on a newer system, like that's gonna make it like unplayable for you. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's gonna be.
it's not literally unplayable, but like that sucks. So the fact that it supports the GameCube controller now isn't just like, oh, good, my old controller. It means you can play the fucking game the way it was originally intended to be played. Like
Yeah.
you're like a very important feature is missing. Like how? All right. Like, I mean, that's why like the PlayStation controller, it has the bumpers, but it also has the triggers. The triggers, I don't even remember if I can. I don't even know if I can think of an example where the pressure sensitivity really mattered for those. But like those buttons exist for a reason. You know, should that be relevant? It's like
I'm trying to
how,
find like a comparison, but imagine if
yeah.
you were playing a Sonic game and
Hmm.
to dash you had to press another button, then like down and jump, and you had to press like down and another button. You'd be
Yeah,
confused.
kind of, sort of. Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Especially because in the old Sonic game, every button was the jump button.
Yeah.
You only have three buttons. They all do the same thing. Pick the button you like. I don't know what to tell you. But for the Mario thing, this is gonna make a very big difference. It's like a core feature of the game that was not applicable on the Switch, which is just so bizarre to me. I don't even understand that. Also, Vice had been bringing up Atomiswave games being ported to the Dreamcast. So you could play them on original hardware, and we have an interesting list here. Some of them I'm less familiar with. Vice might have a more of a say than I do. So there's like The Rumblefish, which is a fighting game by Sammy, and Sammy's a pretty cool company. There's Demolish Fist, which is a beat 'em up by Sammy. I don't even
I
know.
have no idea what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. Maximum Speed is a racing game. So, I mean, like, cool on principle, I guess. But the stuff I'm more familiar with is King of Fighters Neo Wave is now directly playable on the Dreamcast. Guilty
Nice.
Gear X. I don't see that one come up very often. I remember X2 because it got a PS2 port, but Guilty Gear X, like X1, the first one is pretty cool. And the one that particularly intrigues me, even though I own this on PS2, the Arxis Works, the Guilty Gear creators of the Fist of the North Star fighting game. Like, that's pretty rad. That game's all. I
Nice.
mean, that game is broken as hell. By the way, there's like all sorts of infinite combos you could do, and like the game is not even close to viable in the tournament setting because it's just like completely fucked. But like, it's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's an amusing game. I like the voice work. I like the presentation. You could even like kill yourself with Shin by doing his thing where he jumps out of the tower. You could just do that whenever you feel like, and just lose a round, which is pretty funny.
I
Just like
think you could do that in.
yeah, it's
I think
great.
you could do that in one of the Dragon Ball games. You play the Cyberman, you just go blow yourself up.
Oh, are you serious? That's
Yeah.
great. You know what I remember actually is, did you ever play Toe Ball #1 on PS1?
No.
Okay, that's a rare case. Like I will say it again, PS1 game, and it ran at a steady 60 FPS. It's pretty damn smooth.
Wow. Okay.
But there's a robot you can play as that has a big conspicuous red button on his back. If you do this button combination, or I think it's like pressing a bunch of different buttons at once, like you will never do this by accident. Like if you do it on purpose, you could press the button on your back and just shut down. And you just lose. It's pretty funny. Like if you want to do that, then here you go.
Because why not?
Yeah. Also, there's a little bit of Twitter information. This one kind of has me intrigued. Like, I don't know, man. Limited Run Games teased they purchased an IP for an odd retro game, and they didn't give you a clue. They said whatever you're thinking, it's weirder. So like,
Hmm.
you have my attention because they bring over some bizarre stuff anyway. Like, what could this possibly be? Whatever you think of, it's weirder. I can think of some pretty fucking weird games. Like, the game I threw out there to be funny was Superhero League of Hoboken. I mean, nobody wants a physical of that. Like, it's a PC game. Like, it's already readily available on Steam and GOG. Vice threw out as a joke Stone Keep 2, which would be a...
Oh yeah, I saw that tweet.
Yeah, that would be a dumb fucking purchase. Number one, because the game's terrible, and number two, because it's like a Wii game. Like you must play that with the Wiimote. There's no way they purchased that. Like these are just joke guesses from the two of us. But like, whatever you're thinking of, it's weirder. Like, what? Like, what is it? Something I've even heard of? I don't know. Like, it could be anything. Limited Run's brought over a bunch of stuff that I haven't even heard of and looked up, and I'm like, oh, this looks pretty cool. So I have no idea what this could be. I mean,
I'm gonna
of
go
course
with.
I don't, but like, yeah.
I'm gonna go with Out of This World. That's my guess.
No, because I think that's actually already been done.
It's been done. Okay.
I think so. I'm gonna Google that right now. But Out of This World, I'm pretty sure somebody has done. Yeah, they did this a while ago. Another World, Out of This World. It's been done already.
Oh man,
But,
I didn't even know that.
Fair guess, but it's been done. I was gonna also suggest Heart of Darkness, but that's a PS1 game.
Yeah.
Because like Heart of Darkness was made by the same guy. Same goes
Yeah,
for
and it's also
Flashback.
really
I think
hard.
they might have done Flashback as well.
Flashback has been done, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but
Oh, wait, you mean if the same guy did
guess.
Flashback?
I think so. They all have that distinctive like rotoscope movement look as well.
Yeah.
Like Out of This World looks way better than a Genesis Super Nintendo game has a right to look, because it's mostly like a cinematic experience. It makes me think of a lot of like fixed camera angle games on the PS1 where it looks better than it should because the background is just like a JPEG and the only things moving are like your character and like two enemies. Like I remember somebody describing Resident Evil as basically a PowerPoint presentation where like three things actually move on it, and like that's a very good point.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
That's why like they did a prototype of Resident Evil 2 for the Game Boy Advance where you can't play much. It's like a couple of rooms, but it looks pretty damn faithful. And I was like, how did they ever make this Game Boy game look almost as good as a PS1 game? And they're like, because there's nothing there. That's why. I was like, that's a good point, actually. So, yeah, Limited Run is coming up with some weird game. Will I care about it? I don't know, but I'm intrigued because they're like, it's really freaking strange. I don't know. So, now here's something, Fakafon, I know you were talking to me about before. Nintendo, the company Nintendo, recently sent a cease and desist and shut down Big House Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament, and the reason is because they were using a fan-modded online version of the game called Slippy. It's named after Slippy Toad, but it's spelled with an I instead of a Y at the end, SLIPPI.
Okay.
Apparently Nintendo tried to work with them, but the tournament refused to use legit unmodded copies of the game, which is strange to me because Nintendo is pretty intense about shutting down unauthorized uses of their stuff. So the idea that they tried working with them and the people said no, it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen?
Honestly, I don't know. I wish I knew why they refused. What I do know about Slippy, though, is the reason they chose that particular version is because it has like a way better connection and it uses rollback instead of just like the regular netcode.
Yeah, let's be honest here. Nintendo's online code fucking sucks for like Smash. I remember seeing like Smash Wii U and like when it was new, like they're skipping all the time. Like, man, if you're gonna do one thing right with the era of online, and this is coming from someone who doesn't even play online. Yeah, I don't even care about multiplayer for Smash, which makes me weird. But even coming from me, have the game fucking work. How do you not have good netcode for your like the most popular game you've released in years, you know?
I have no
Especially
idea.
Because Sony and Microsoft have been doing this stuff forever. Like, take a hint. And they don't have perfect online. You'll sometimes see little skippages in games that are less popular, but like, you know, like again, take a hint. It's been over 10 years. Like, have working online code for your most popular game. Like, this is absurd. So yeah, like a lot of Melee fans are getting really mad about Nintendo shutting them down, but like, I repeat, what did you think was gonna happen? Like, just play the game.
even I'm mad, and I don't even play these games at all.
I mean, it sucks that they were shut down, but like, again, number one, Nintendo is famously hard up about using improper versions of their games, and number two, if they tried reasoning with you and you said no, do you think you're gonna beat Nintendo? Like, come on, get out of here.
It kind of reminds me, if you remember, like this weird era of YouTube when, like 2014, 2015,
Hmm.
2016, I think,
Oh,
where
when they shut down like every Mario footage or
like
whatever.
every Nintendo music footage, it would just go and shut it down, and everyone was like, "What the
That
fuck are you
that was
doing?"
Nintendo being that's a case where I'm against Nintendo because they're being stupid. They don't understand the concept of like people talking about their games
Yeah, it
and
sells
the
their
concept of fair
copies.
use as well, because I think this was also like a miscommunication between like Japan and US like regulation. Like fair use is absolutely a thing on YouTube,
Yeah,
and
yeah, but
like
it went on for
we're not just
months.
uploading cutscenes of your video games. It's like it's Mario. Like you're really gonna shut down footage of like Mario Maker, like the game that's primarily popular because of its like YouTube footage.
I'm kind of glad they calmed down on this and they were like, "All right, fine, you can use our
Yeah,
footage and
you
everything."
know
But
that thing that zero other game companies are doing because they understand the concept of people enjoying their shit and not being punished for playing it. Maybe we shouldn't do that either. But this melee thing though, like I don't like it, but I get it. Like this is an illegal version of their game,
yeah,
or I don't know about their game, but like a matter of playing it. So, or at least I don't know if it's illegal, at least unofficial. So like it sucks, but I get it. I can't really defend the tournament people, especially if they tried to
like
deny
talking with the
Nintendo's appeal to
representative. Yeah.
not shut them the fuck down. It's like, would you rather just play it this way? No. All right, well, you're not doing it at all then.
Yeah, I seriously wonder what happened because, like, on their
Yeah.
surface, it seems like why would they just say no to like? So
Yeah,
something must have.
like I don't know if Nintendo put on some caveat that would have been worse, but like, what's worse than shutting the thing down? Like, I don't know.
It's hard to say, honestly. I wish I had
Yeah,
like more info on that.
yeah, it's a little weird. Then M2, so the Shottriggers Ketsui Deathtiny, because death, haha, Deathtiny,
Destiny.
gets gets a surprise Western release for $35, and
Surprise!
that's just interesting because I know those kinds of games are getting a little more popular here. They're developing like they're becoming more than just a cult following, but it's still kind of like they're bringing it over. Like it's not just assumed that these things will happen. Like visual novels, America's getting a lot more liberal with those, but like the Toho style shooters, we're still kind of like I don't know. Like so
Yeah.
it's interesting when another one comes over. It's just kind of cool. For some bad news, USGamer, which is the US branch of Eurogamer and the spiritual successor to OneUp.com, a lot of staff are getting laid off by December. And I mean, as Vice would say, like anytime you get a bunch of layoffs, I mean that just sucks, and it's like a poor sign of the times. Like
Yeah.
that should not be a thing that happens unless you're Blizzard, where you callously lay off 100 people because you had one of the best years ever. Go
I
fuck
have
yourself,
n-
Bobby Kotick.
I have no idea how Blizzard functions. Like,
Look at numbers that shareholders like, cut employees to get better numbers, and don't plan for long term. Welcome to any corporation.
all right. Well, I'll take your word for it.
Welcome to fuck you, I've got mine. um, this is just a little, almost bit of trivia. You know how take Spider-Man PS4 for example. You know how it's not literally all of New York City.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's kind of like the main parts. Like if you're really intimately familiar with New York, you'd be like, wait a minute, this place is way closer to that place than it is in real life. You're gonna take some liberties. I get it, but people have noticed in the new Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4 and PS5 that there is no Chrysler building present. Apparently
Yeah.
because of I forgot what the correct word is for this. Like
Licensing?
kind of. Yeah, like rights or copyright or trademark or something, whichever one makes sense, because the Chrysler Building is like a proper name. It's not just like some building,
Yeah.
which is a weird thing to like take an issue with at all. It's a fucking building. Fuck you. But yeah, some people are bothered that like the building isn't in the game. But the realization that I came to is that this means that the original Parasite Eve is a superior game because it
Because
has
it
the
has the
Chrysler.
Chrysler Building. Yeah.
Not only does it have it, it's by far the hardest part of the entire game because
And
it's
it's the
a
only way
new
to
game.
finish it proper too.
That's true, yeah. Like I don't think that's the canon ending, but that's the like the more conclusive ending, I think.
Yeah.
And that is a hard dungeon. Like, it's a New Game Plus dungeon, so that's why. But it's 77 floors of pure misery. Or
Well, the
I
first floors
guess
aren't
we'll
too
say
bad.
70 floors of... No, 71 floors, because it's floors 1 through 10. Well, floors 1 through 60, really. No, I lied yet again. 1 through 70. And then you have the dramatic climb up the empty staircase. Oh, man, I'm building up to something. So you have, like, 6 free floors. And then the last boss is stupidly hard. Like, it's ridiculous. So I'm talking about Parasite Eve right now because how much more am I going to discuss about the Chrysler Building not being in Miles Morales?
Yeah.
But otherwise, people seem to like that game quite a bit.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, like some people are concerned, like, oh, it feels like a DLC to Spider-Man, but like, it's not a proper sequel, and it's like it's its own spin-off title. It's gonna feel like Spider-Man 4, and that's fine. Like, more Spider-Man 4, yes please.
Yeah,
and apparently
yeah.
it's bigger and more fleshed out than the DLC anyway, as you would frankly expect it to be. But it's like, what do you want? You know, it's like Infamous.
Infamous,
It's,
yeah.
it's like Infamous Dying Light. It's kind of like, it's just another thing. Like, I'll play that, sure, fine. Like, maybe a little bit of an esoteric thing to bring up at this point, because I think that was like was that a PS3 title, or did that make it to PS4? I don't remember.
I don't know.
The Infamous spin-off. I don't know. It's hard for me to picture because that didn't get a physical release in the States. So I'm trying. Like, I can't picture the case because like we didn't have one. So I was like, PS3 or PS4. But yeah, there's no Chrysler Building in New York City. It sucks. Otherwise, just a few more things to wrap up here. This is not the longest episode, but we made a very interesting discovery. The Great Ace Attorney apparently has signs of being localized in the leak that
Yes.
Vice had brought up. That greatly pleases me because that was something that I remember hearing about. Like, that's one game that'll never get localized because of the copyright snafu with
Sherlock Holmes, yeah.
Yeah, with like some of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's descendants or something like that. It was just some like rights entanglement that just makes it annoying. But there might be signs of being localized in the lake. Apparently, if this can be believed, English text and voice work exist, which is, especially voice work, it's a very good sign. Even if it weren't going to be localized, like, I was thinking, well, maybe it'll get an Asian localization and we could read the subs, but but if we're getting English voice work as well, that's a pretty good sign. They're just going to full on bring it over, which would be amazing.
It would.
Because that's like the one game, that's the elusive game. I mean, there's Miles Edgeworth 2 as well, but like, this is...
Wait, the second one didn't make it to the US?
I don't think so.
Because the second one is much better.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because, like, the first one clearly did. Like, I mean, I own the first one.
Okay.
Miles Edgeworth 2, I don't think it did. I'm going to double check this.
It'd be good. It'd be great if that one came as well. Because honestly, I think the second one was just better than the first one.
The second one's Japan only. Like, I don't know if a fan translation... No, there is a fan translation.
There is, yeah.
Released in 2014. But an actual localization for real, no. So if you want to emulate it or something in English, I suppose you could. But yeah, we never officially got that game. We got the first one. But this is a straight up, like, direct Ace Attorney title. I mean, it's not in canon, I don't think. It's a Sherlock Holmes title, but that's really awesome. If they're bringing it over, that'd be so great.
Yeah.
And to avoid copyright, they're JoJoing it up by calling them just something different. But this is so on the nose, it's like spitting in the face of the people who want to fight the rights, because apparently he's called Herlock Sholmes.
Wait, like in Arsène Lupin? Like,
which one? Lupin.
Yeah, like in Lupin, they also have like Herlock Sholmes.
Yeah.
Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, like, you can never tell the difference. I mean, like, at least JoJo, they tried fudging it. Like, instead of Pearl Jam, there's Opal Jam. You know, they wink at you, but this is just like, you know damn well what the name is. We're doing this. We're doing this now.
Hey, if it works.
Take that, yeah. No one would ever expect Herlock Sholmes. It's so dumb that I love it.
And his partner, Batson.
Yeah. Oh no, what was his name for real? Do you know what his first name was?
John Watson?
It was John?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so Juan Jotson.
Juan Jotson.
I don't know if they're doing that, but that'd be pretty funny.
Maybe, but I don't think Watson would be as iconic as like Sherlock Holmes.
No, that's true. But actually, did you ever actually read Sherlock Holmes?
No, I've never got to it.
A lot of that stuff is really fun. But one thing that kind of bothers me now that I've read Sherlock Holmes about the a lot of modern interpretations, you know how they always have Watson as this, like, not full-on fat, but, like, portly, kind of like, but how did you figure it out, Sherlock? And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
kind of like, he's like the everyman. How did you know, Sherlock? You found out this brilliant fact. Well, I'll tell you, Watson. That wasn't how the dynamic was originally supposed to work. Number one, I don't believe you ever get a physical description of Watson, but he was a former army surgeon, so I'm assuming he's in shape. Also, the fact that he's a doctor.
Yeah.
But number two, he's a fucking doctor. Like, he's a smart guy. The whole reason you always have Sherlock Holmes showing up Watson is that Watson is not the everyman. He's smarter than most of us, and he still pales in comparison to Holmes. But when you have, like, bumbling Watson who doesn't know anything, that doesn't make Sherlock Holmes look impressive. Even if he finds information that we would find obscure, it's like, well, of course Watson didn't find it. But, like, what makes it so impressive in Sherlock Holmes is that Watson is, like, very intelligent, but Holmes is picking up things that he couldn't even fathom. Like, you thought of that? Like, so it makes Holmes look all the more impressive.
Impressive, yeah.
So, yeah, it's just kind of a thing. It's just become a running trope, I guess. I don't know who first did Portly Watson, but it's mostly been that look in a lot of Sherlock Holmes interpretations, which is kind of unfortunate.
To make a weird parallel, it reminds me of, you know those Ghost Hunter show where people, like, film abandoned houses and, like, take sounds and things? Mm-hmm. I think either Nickelodeon or... No, it was Cartoon Network. Back in the day, they made a show that was like that, but with kids, because why the hell not?
Well, I mean, Nickelodeon, you gotta... Everything's kids.
Cartoon Network, sorry.
Oh, Cartoon... Excuse me, sorry, alright.
It was kind of funny because you'd watch these kids, like, you know, doing the same thing, like setting up cameras, using sounds, using EMF and etc. And I remember someone saying, like, well, that kind of brings down all of the other shows because now it's not as...
If these kids do just as well as these grown-ass professionals have been doing
exactly.
for decades... Well, not only that, but, like, how embarrassing would that look if the kids picked up something? Like, there's been, like... I think Red Letter Media said, like, 18 plus seasons of Ghost Hunter. They never found jack shit. So, like, if these kids do it, all right.
Yeah.
Not to mention, even giving the kids the opportunity. It's like, you really want to put them on the same playing field. It's just, like, it really does undercut, like, the adults. Like, the kids better not find anything. Otherwise, boy, that'll show up, like, a decade of TV. How embarrassing.
That would be amazing. Dude.
Why couldn't you find anything?
Hey, dumbass, how come you didn't find anything? And those, like, high schoolers are like, oh, there it is, ghosts.
Yeah. Oh, it turns out I could do it.
I would love that, honestly.
That would be really funny.
But like, I'm really glad...
All you have to do is just ask the ghost nicely, and they come right out. Oh.
You just have to send someone younger.
Yeah.
They're not
the ghosts are just more familiar with kids because the ghosts want to try to relate to the youth of the era with their slang terminology. Zach Baggett's never had a chance. He talks like an adult. The ghosts don't think he's cool enough. I don't know.
I don't want to be with them.
Those posers, nah, man. Bring up the kids. They have the pulse on what's cool, or their finger on the pulse of what's cool. There we go. I nailed it. Well, yeah, take that, Ghost Hunter, Ghost Hunter International, Ghost Adventures, any number of YouTubers.
Oh,
you're all nothing. These kids, they'll find it on episode like 2 or 3. You up? They're gonna nail this. It'll leave you in the dust. Your head will spin. They'll go by you so fast. But yeah, no, you do make a good point though. Like, yeah, like, what if kids could do this thing that everyone else has failed at, and like the kids know all about setting up the cameras and using the stuff and everything? Like, they can, like, their attitudes will be similar. Like, that's where I start to suspect the whole thing's scripted, because if the show comes off the same way it does for the adults, it's like, well, then what's the difference? I would expect the kids to be, like, a lot looser with their style if they're gonna do something like that. Like, yeah, set up a camera. It makes me think of, like, when I tried doing, like, well, not really me. I wasn't the one working the camera, but it makes me think of, like, when we're doing, like, high school movies, like, for school or whatever. that shit is so slapped together. It's
Yeah.
like, hold up your video camera now. Now say something in front of the camera. Oh, it's so hung together by like tape.
Yeah, duct tape. Like,
Like,
there we go.
but these kids are gonna put on this professional ghost hunter looking show. Really? I'm thinking maybe they had a little bit of help, possibly.
Possibly, yeah. No, obviously
Possibly.
there were people helping them, but
I'm no expert. I didn't make the ghost hunter show, but I bet you, adults influenced their methods.
but yeah, to come back to Ace Attorney, I
Yes.
actually got the chance to watch because I couldn't play them. Someone was playing the game normally, and they had subtitles on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
So I got to watch the first and second episode of The Great Ace Attorney, and these are great games with
Oh,
like
that's
a
cool.
really good story. They kind of jumped the shark at the end, but I won't spoil anything.
Sure. Yeah, I'm still hoping we get home console releases and collections like Vice alluded to last week for the various games. Because I actually have all the DS games. I don't have the digital only 3DS one though. But like, so like I wouldn't feel bad about emulating the DS games just for a better feel if I ever wanted to like let's play them or something.
Yeah.
But Miles Edgeworth 2, I wouldn't feel terrible about that either because I would have to get fan subs anyway. But yeah, if they could localize the stuff, that would be like even for the Switch because you could dock the Switch. That'd be so cool. Next, Scream 5's title is revealed to be Scream. That's awesome. That I will never confuse that with the original Scream. I fucking hate how not only does this happen in movies, but so many movies do it, where it's been so many titles in the series to like, let's just call it Fast and Furious. Let's just call it Scream. Like, fuck you. The name Scream already exists. It's called Scream. Like, if it's a reboot, I kind of get it, but it's still stupid because it overrides the original title.
Yeah.
But multiple people have mentioned on Twitter, low-hanging fruit that was not grabbed was calling it like Five Cream, like Scream.
Oh,
the
Scream
five
with the
or something,
5?
yes.
Oh, that would
Yeah,
have been amazing.
Because like actually, you know what that reminds me of? Going back to the Fast and the Furious. One thing I can't believe they didn't do. Do you know what the 8th movie was called?
No?
Fate of the Furious. But
Oh, Fate.
yeah, but like it's not F8. It's the word Fate. Fate. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that would have been so good with the
Why
8.
didn't you call it Fate? Like, all right, I guess.
We're gonna
Or like
need to have to talk with
Fan4
marketing
Stick.
here.
Yeah, like this isn't even like a reach. Like anyone, like you called it Fate, you thought of it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just fucking do it? But yeah, there's Fan4 Stick. You know what I thought was kind of cute? We mentioned this before, but Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, like evil, like E, but then VIL. It's like VII, you know, with a lowercase L.
Yeah.
And that works for Japan too, because it's called Biohazard 7 Resident Evil, so you could still do the VII thing. And then Resident Evil 8, like the village, like VILL. It's like,
Nice.
But what also amuses me is that, oh, this is gonna bother me. Phantasm 3 might have, I think it was just called Phantasm 3, but Phantasm 4 was called Oblivion because OBL IV, like they made a point of the IV for the 4
because that's
in
a 4,
Oblivion.
yeah.
And Phantasm 5 was called something like Ravager, like just anything for a V in it for the 5.
Wait a minute.
So it's like, I see what you did there.
Did Elder Scrolls did the same with their game?
Oh, that I wouldn't know. I mean, can you even do that? Skyrim is what, 6? No, Skyrim is 5. So I
man,
don't
I
think
wonder.
they couldn't have done that. Although the previous one was Oblivion, so maybe
Maybe they did. I don't remember.
Wait,
No, it
well,
doesn't look like it.
Oblivion was 4, right? And Morrowind was 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so Oblivion they had potential, but they might not have done it.
I don't think they did, or maybe they did like on the loading screen only.
Yeah, I mean, because like if they did not, that's still like a very amusing possibility for like a coincidence. Like,
Yeah.
they also had a 4th title called Oblivion, like it was right there. But Skyrim certainly not. And 3 was Morrowind. What was 2? Like Daggerfall?
It was Daggerfall, and the first one was Arena.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask, like, did the first one even have a subtitle?
It did.
But all right, there you go. It's kind of like, you know, there's Blood Omen 1, Blood Omen 2, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, but they're all Legacy of Kain.
Yeah.
And something else did that. Yeah, Dark Forces, that was confusing. Because there's Dark Forces, and then the sequel is the first Jedi Knight game. So it's Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Oh,
So it's
seriously?
Jedi Knight 1, Dark Forces 2. And then we're done with Dark Forces. And then there's Jedi Knight... Do they even call it Jedi Knight 2? But it's the next Jedi Knight game, and it's called, like... Was that a Outcast, maybe? But, like, it was, like, the start of a series and the end of another one, and then they just got called Jedi Knight from now on. And, like, it was kind of disorienting at first.
Wow. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. I will say this, by the way. Dark Forces 1, it's Doom Star Wars. Dark Forces 2 is so good. Like, I mean, it's kind of aged comparatively now, but, like, what an improvement. And I'm not even saying Dark Forces 1 is bad. Like, Dark Forces 1 is fine, although you'll get lost. But Dark Forces 2 is awesome.
Nice.
So only one more thing to mention, which is a downturn. But R.I.P. to Kirby Morrow. He died young, like in his 40s.
Yeah.
And the cause of death was undisclosed, but he was most known. He was a character in Gundam Wing, but I haven't seen Gundam Wing. But he was the Ocean dub of Goku. And I do want to point out, Ocean aired some episodes in the States, but then Funimation took over. But I should point out, Ocean, like, saying Funimation took over is kind of inaccurate, because Funimation took over here. Ocean actually kept going. There is an entire Ocean dub. Like, DBZ was fully dubbed in English twice. So you can actually listen to, like, Boo Saga episodes with like Kirby Morrow as Goku and Brian Drummond as Vegeta. It's fascinating.
How did that happen? Like, how did they get 2 subs?
Because I think it was region. Like, I mean, you're in Canada. Did Canada do the Ocean dub?
Canada. I know Quebec had their own Dragon Ball Z dub, which was terrible.
Well, that is another thing to mention. There were like 1,000 English dubs of Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of them fell off really early. But you can hear some goofy shit. Like, there was like the Speed or Speedy dub or something like that, which is like, what? There was the... I don't know what it's really called, but it's unofficially called the Big Green dub, because Gohan calls Piccolo Big Green, and that dub is fucking terrible. It's like... It's hilarious. It's so funny. There's the Ocean dub, there's Funimation dub. I'm reasonably sure there's something else too. And even Dragon Ball, there are some alternate dubs that, like, aired on TV once and, like, never again, and I don't even know if Archive exists unless, like, you taped it off of your TV back in the day.
Oh gosh.
Like how we got the Star Wars Holiday Special. Somebody taped it, and that's the only reason we could watch it today.
What a blessing.
You could say that. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z has, like, 2 complete English dubs, though. It's so, like, I could not believe it, because I mean, I heard Brian Drummond Vegeta, because I love his Vegeta. Like, the slimy Vegeta, like, Kakarot, like, he has that voice.
Oh my gosh.
When he powers up, yeah! Like, it's really fun to hear. But, like, and same goes for, like, Ocean Goku was fine. Like, he had different attitudes, because different voice actors provide, like, different takes on the character.
Yeah.
Like, I much prefer, for, like, going back to Vegeta, I much prefer Brian Drummond's screaming and powering up sounds, but I prefer... Oh, fuck, what was his name? I forgot, was it Justin Cook, or was that Piccolo? This is gonna bother me.
Oh, man, I can't remember either.
Is it Justin Cook? This is gonna... Oh, yeah, I forgot, there's also a Dragon Ball Z Kai. Did that have a different dub as well, or was that Funimation again?
Good question. All I know is that they rearranged the animation. I'm not sure for the voice acting.
Yeah. Oh, Chris Sabat, excuse me.
Chris Sabat, yeah, there we go.
Justin Cook was like a deep voice guy. But yeah, Chris Sabat Vegeta, I much prefer him for his talking. I'm not as familiar with Ocean Goku, though. But, like, I did watch it, like, way back in the day. I mean, that's where the meme came from. Like, it's over 9,000! Like, it's not the same in Funimation. Like, that was the old Ocean dub. But yeah, it's a damn shame about Kirby Morrow. He also did Cyclops in X-Men, not the original show, but X-Men Evolution, which was another damn quality show. Like, when I first saw previews for that show, I was like, oh, they're in college? Like, where they try to make it relatable is stupid. But like, actually, it's a very, very good show.
Oh, cool.
And the opening theme song. Have you heard the opening theme song for Evolution?
I don't think so.
It's a banger. Like, because I grew up on the old '90s X-Men. Like,
Yeah,
I was like,
me too.
You don't get better than that. But like, Evolution genuinely gives it a run for its money with that opening theme. It's very, very good. And Kirby Morrow also did, this is what I'm most familiar with him for, Miroku, the guy with the black hole in his hand, the priest from Inuyasha.
I've never watched Inuyasha.
The show's, I liked it enough in college, but maybe we'll just stop there. It's not a fantastic show, but it was good enough to keep me watching.
Hey, watch out, you're gonna piss off some fans.
I mean, it's very, like, it's almost Monster of the Week. It's not quite Monster of the Week in that there are like heavily recurring villains, but like every episode for almost a whole series is like, oh look, it's another shard of the Shikon Jewel. Maybe it's over there. Let's go looking for it.
Oh,
so
okay.
in that regard, it's almost like every episode is filler. Because like, you know how some shows do that where like, I'm looking for this one quest or this one object, and maybe I'll find it in the last episode. And then for filler, they try making it relevant with like, I heard a rumor it might be in this village where only goofy things happen, and it's your goofy episode. You know, like Outlaw Star did that. They're looking for particular numbers of bullets, and there were some filler episodes that actually had unique number bullets that I think actually did play back into the series later, which is kind of funny. But if you actually watch the episodes, they're like clearly filler, like the hot spring episode. It's like, what are you doing? So like all of Inuyasha was, I mean, like they had the recurring villains and they had like an actual plot, but when every single episode is, oh, that enemy also has a shard of the Shikon Jewel, it's almost like the whole thing is filler. Like it's a fun enough show, but it's not like one of the greats. It's just that I kind of grew up with it, so I have like memories of it.
Gotcha.
But it's an okay show. It's made by the person who did Ranma 1/2, which is another like iconic show of the previous generation.
Yeah, man, it's
and
been a
Ranma
while
was
since
like
I saw
goofy
that.
and oh yeah, like Ranma was like goofy and stupid all the time, but in like a fun way. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun to watch. Inuyasha generally is more serious, but it has its like wacky moments. And Miroku, his whole character is not comic relief, but like he's kind of riding the line. Because he's just always looking to date women constantly. That's just his thing.
Oh.
So like he meets like a woman in every episode or every other one, and he's like, "Hello, will you bear my children?" And he gets smacked, and that's the end of that woman in the show. Like, fuck you, Morocco. And he's like, ah, jeez. Yeah, why does this always happen to me? Maybe if I didn't do literally the same thing with every person, maybe I should change something.
Men
but yeah,
don't change.
I mean, he develops as a character, but like that's one habit he has a real problem breaking. But in any case, that is genuinely a shame about Kirby Morrow, but in any case, that is the new information that I have for this week. Fakafon, was there anything that you wanted to add for, as Vice would say, the good of the order?
Well, there is the new Animaniacs that came out, like the reboot.
Oh, I completely forgot. Yes.
I have seen so much fan art of it on Twitter. It's amazing.
Yeah. And the art style looks like, you could tell it's different art, but it looks like Animaniacs.
Oh,
it
definitely does.
It looks like it's of the style. Yeah. And I've heard mostly like just good things about it. Like
it's already released?
I think some of it has. Yeah. I don't know if it was released all at once or by episode or what, but like people have been watching it.
Oh, I can see here it's on Hulu.
Apparently they quite like it. Yeah, it's on Hulu. Apparently people quite like it.
I can't see it then. In Canada we don't have Hulu.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have some other platform that it comes on.
I hope so.
One thing I want to point out, by the way, this is really bizarre. I saw a screenshot on Twitter that was the weirdest thing. It was somebody was talking to these two like guys in like workman's clothing, like dark blue workman's clothing, and like one of them I think had a hat, like a baseball cap looking type of hat. And they were talking about like Star Trek, like the old series versus the reboot or whatever. And the thing is, people were wondering if these characters were supposed to be Mike and Jay from Red Letter Media, like super exaggerated, cartoonized versions of them, so as to be legally distinct. But like, was that a nod? And like, the fact that they're wearing those workman's outfits, and the fact that it's bringing up Star Trek of all things, like, I'm not all in on this, but I'm pretty in on this. Like, that might actually be possible. That would be very amusing if that were the case. That would greatly please me. I hope somebody elucidates on this. It makes me think of that one anime. I don't remember what it's called. I don't think America ever got it, where, like, the nostalgia critic and the angry video game nerd are in, like, a shot for a second, like, as background
like
characters.
in a train station, I think.
Yeah, and there's no mistaking them. Like, they're drawn like
Yeah, they're drawn
like,
exactly as their character.
Clearly that, like, the Animaniacs version, they look like Animaniacs characters. Like you know how Mario, he's clearly a human, but when you put him in New Donk City with more realistically proportioned humans, you realize how, like, weird he looks?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that. Like, you know how, like, do you ever see Freakazoid?
Like, only one episode ever.
That show is fucking funny. Like, to this day. That show is laugh out loud funny for me. But, you know that his police officer friend, Cosgrove?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's obviously, again, he's clearly a human being, but he's drawn in such a goofy cartoon way. But, like, everyone in that show is drawn kind of goofy, so, like, he looks normal in that universe.
Yeah.
It's like that for Animaniacs. Like, the Mike and Jay characters look, like, absurd, but, like, in universe, they look like, you know, humans, whatever. It's kind of like that. Like, no human could ever look like that in real life, but, like, no, that kind of looks like Mike and Jay, actually. Like, it's like, that would be very interesting if that were the case.
Yeah.
That would greatly please me. But anything else did you want to bring up?
Nothing that comes to mind.
All right, very well. In that case, that's the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps us promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you could friend me as... I was reading that directly. You can't friend me on YouTube. You could follow me on YouTube. Oh my God. I was going to say you could friend Vice the Bold himself on just about any platform, but you could follow me on my YouTube channel. Saved it. Which is called Lotus Prince. Yeah, seamless. So you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, I'm currently doing Blood Omen, the original Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain. Selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but my next Let's Play is one that was chosen for me.
Nice.
And finally, getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord. Please consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And as for me, well, my YouTube channel is pretty much dead, so don't bother. But I still do my webcomic, which is kadrula.com. And I also have my Patreon, that's Kadrula. And you can follow me on Twitter as Lou Fakafon.
Yep, and Kadrula is C-A-D Rula. It's an anagram of Dracula.
It is, because I'm very creative.
That's far too spooky for
Mr.
me.
Herlock Sholmes.
Well, I mean, I'll give you this. It's not Alucard, which everyone else has done since, like, what, the 1930s?
Well,
like,
I don't know.
Son of Dracula.
I like Alucard. It has, like, a fancy, like,
it sounds
ring to
cool, but it's been done. Kadrula is original.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, so thank you once again for everyone for listening, and we'll see you on Thursday. Until next time, everyone.
See you next time, everyone.